Welcome to, frankly, a more important episode than usual. We're diving head first into the churning, often messy, occasionally inspiring pool of American elections. We're not talking about which intern forgot to pick up the extra long straws for the campaign bus. No, this is about the bedrock, the foundation, the essential themes that make this whole of the people by the people thing even remotely functional. Here's the thing. Empowering citizens, like truly empowering them, isn't some Hallmark card sentiment. It's about ensuring that everyone, regardless of their background, their zip code, or the size of their wallet, has an equal shot at shaping the direction of this country. Over the next little while, we're going to unpack 10 key themes, 10 pillars, if you will, that are absolutely crucial for a healthy, vibrant, and dare I say, representative democracy. Buckle up, it's going to get civically engaging in here.
Look, let's be honest. For many of us, civic education conjures up traumatic flashbacks to high school government class. A class so mind-numbingly dull it could make C-SPAN look like a Michael Bay film. But here's the thing. Understanding how government works, how policy sausage gets made, it's not just about passing a test. It's about equipping citizens to actually participate in their democracy. We're talking about fostering critical thinking skills, the ability to sniff out a BS campaign promise from a mile away, and the confidence to engage in informed debate without, resorting to throwing your shoe at the television. Because an informed and engaged electorate? That's not just a nice to have, it is the cornerstone of a functioning democracy.
Okay, let's state the ridiculously obvious. In a functioning democracy, everyone who's eligible should be able to vote, right? Seems straightforward, like saying water is wet or that a platypus looks like a beaver got drunk and mated with a rubber duck. But here in the good old US of A, we somehow managed to make voting more complicated than it needs to be. We're talking about expanding early voting, embracing mail-in ballots like they're the best thing since sliced bread, which, let's be honest, they kind of are. And for the love of all that is holy, tackling voter suppression head-on. Because here's the thing. A truly representative democracy doesn't just tolerate participation, it encourages it. It throws open the doors, rolls out the red carpet, and maybe even offers you a complimentary beverage while you're at it.
Let's be honest, it's pretty hard to care about who's running for school board when you're worried about putting food on the table or keeping a roof over your head. Economic disparities, the yawning gap between the haves and the have-nots, they don't just fuel social unrest, they kneecap our democracy. We're talking about investing in job training programs so people can actually learn a trade, not just how to make a mean latte art. We're talking about financial literacy programs that demystify the stock market and teach people how to manage their money without resorting to burying it in the backyard. Because, and this might sound revolutionary, but when people are economically secure, they're more likely to engage in the democratic process.
Listen, I'm not saying that everyone needs a PhD in political science to be a good citizen, although it couldn't hurt, right? But we all know that education is the bedrock of a strong democracy. It's about giving people the tools to think critically, to separate fact from fiction, looking at you, internet, and to understand the complexities of the world around them. We're talking about investing in public schools like they hold the key to our future because, well, they kind of do. We're talking about making college affordable so students aren't drowning in debt before they even start their careers. We're talking about a society where everyone, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to reach their full intellectual potential.
Let's be clear. Participating in a democracy shouldn't require a clean bill of health. But when people are struggling to afford their medication, when they're forced to choose between seeing a doctor or putting food on the table, it's pretty damn hard to focus on anything else, let alone casting a ballot. We're talking about ensuring that everyone has access to affordable, quality healthcare. We're talking about mental health services that treat the whole person, not just their ability to hold down a job. Because, and this might sound crazy, healthy citizens are kind of essential for a healthy democracy.
Let's be real. A democracy that only represents the interests of a select few isn't a democracy at all. It's just a country club with better snacks. This country was built on the idea that everyone, regardless of their race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or whether they prefer their peanut butter chunky or smooth, deserves a seat at the table. We're talking about enacting and enforcing anti-discrimination laws, because prejudice has no place in a modern society, let alone a democracy. We're talking about diversity training that goes beyond just checking a box, but actually challenges people's biases and promotes understanding.
Listen up, folks, because this one's important. For far too long, young people and women have been relegated to the sidelines of American democracy, told to wait their turn, told their voices don't matter as much. Well, I'm here to say that's a load of, shall we say, fertilizer. We're talking about leadership training programs that empower young people to become the leaders of tomorrow today. We're talking about mentorship programs that connect women with experienced professionals who can guide them as they smash through glass ceilings. Because a democracy that silences the voices of half its population isn't a democracy, it's a recipe for disaster.
You know, sometimes it feels like our national politics are so dysfunctional, so deeply mired in gridlock, that it's enough to make you want to scream into the void. But here's the thing. Real change, lasting change, often starts at the local level. In our communities, in our neighborhoods, where people come together to solve problems, not score political points. We're talking about investing in community centers that serve as hubs for civic engagement. We're talking about supporting local journalism, because a well-informed citizenry is essential for a healthy democracy. We're talking about fostering a sense of community, of shared purpose, that transcends our differences and reminds us that we're all in this together. Let's face it, in the 21st century, being a responsible citizen increasingly requires navigating the digital world. From registering to vote online to researching candidates to engaging in political discourse on social media, the internet has become the public square of our time. But here's the rub. Not everyone has equal access to this digital town hall. We're talking about expanding broadband access so that everyone, regardless of their zip code or income level, can participate in the digital world. We're talking about digital literacy programs that teach people how to navigate the internet safely, how to spot misinformation, and how to use technology to make their voices heard. Because in the digital age, access to information and the ability to use it effectively are not just perks, they're fundamental rights. Okay, folks, let's level with each other for a moment. Climate change isn't some abstract concept, some distant threat that we can just kick down the road for future generations to deal with. It's happening right now, and it's impacting every single one of us. And the choices we make today, the policies we enact, will determine the kind of world we leave behind for our children and grandchildren. We're talking about investing in renewable energy sources like solar and wind power, because relying on fossil fuels is like sticking with a flip phone in the age of the smartphone. It's outdated, it's inefficient, and frankly, it's embarrassing. We're talking about protecting our public lands and waters, because they're not just pretty places to take Instagram photos, they're vital to our planet's health.
So, there you have it. 10 essential themes, 10 pillars of hope, if you will, for strengthening American elections and, dare I say, our democracy itself. We've covered a lot of ground, from the importance of civic education to the urgent need for environmental sustainability. And while the challenges we face are real and they are significant, I remain cautiously optimistic, because here's the thing. The power to shape the future of this country doesn't reside solely in the hands of politicians or pundits. It rests with each and every one of us. It lies in our willingness to engage in the democratic process, to hold our elected officials accountable, and to fight for the kind of future we want to see. So, go forth, my fellow Americans, and get involved. Volunteer in your community, contact your elected representatives, and for goodness sake, vote, because your voice matters, your vote counts, and together we can build a more just, equitable, and sustainable future for all.